Hello and welcome to No Apologies on Beck, where we are unafraid to speak the truth. I am your host, Rick Becker, our lovely co-host, Lori Hintz.
Thank you so much.
We've got a great show for you, a great first show for you tonight. We are going to be talking somewhat about COVID cancel culture, COVID anti-science cult, and the ever-interesting District 8 saga when it comes to Governor Burgum. But first up, COVID cancel culture.
Yeah, it's a tongue twister. Thank you for that.
COVID cancel culture. Yes.
Okay, so cancel culture is pervasive. It is ongoing, and it seems to be ramping up a little bit as time goes on. People are learning that if they try to cancel someone and they succeed, then they're learning now. Okay, you know what? It works, so I'm gonna do it again.
Right. And we saw it. We've seen it for a long time now. Probably for the last 4 years, but we saw it a lot with Black Lives Matter. We saw it with LGBTQ stuff. We see it with everything, and now we see it with COVID.
Well, not only COVID, but all sorts of attitudes about masking and anti-masking, and it's very polarizing. And because of that, people who don't necessarily agree with you, I think people figure out, okay, you know what? I'm just going to make them negated.
Yeah.
It's because they don't believe what I believe, I'm just going to take care of them.
Yes, absolutely. And we have now, I think it was late last week, a big example, just in-your-face example of someone who's highly successful, has been fantastic for the community in the Upper Midwest, Kelby Krabbenhoft, CEO of Sanford.
This is just an unbelievable story, too. I felt really actually bad for him. He was CEO at Sanford since 1996. That means 24 years at Sanford. And the sentence in his email that I believe actually squashed a distinguished 24-year career was, quote, "I have no interest in using masks as a symbolic gesture. My team and I have a duty to express the truth and facts and reality and not feed the opposite." And boom, that was the end of Kelby Krabbenhoft.
Yeah, he wrote a very well-written letter to the employees of Sanford, to all of the staff. I mean, this is a huge organization. I believe, yes, about 48,000 employees, about 46 medical centers. I mean, this guy helped drive this organization to be something of a powerhouse, no doubt about it. In his letter, he said a few other things too. A couple things that stuck out to me. He wrote, "These are serious issues and they require us to humbly acknowledge that to stand up and honor the truth and advice we know about the virus is lonely. It's not popular or subject to criticism. We need to stand on the high ground of science, facts, and truth anyway." He goes on to say, "I pray we are significantly united in this situation. There is always room for those who might see it differently, and as always, I would hope for a respectful and reasoned opportunity to discuss concerns."
He had me at science, facts, and truth.
Yes. So very, very well thought out, rationed letter, inviting dissent, inviting discussion, but saying, here's where I stand. I had COVID. It doesn't really make sense in my mind to wear a mask for a symbolic gesture. Because we don't do things for symbolic gesture. We do things because they're right, or we don't do them because they're not right. And then as you saw in our first graphic, it said Sanford CEO out. He is out, gone, vamoose.
That's just sad. It's
Yeah.
I mean, that a distinguished career absolutely extinguished. It's
Yes.
just,
And, you know, we don't know. Could there be other details? Absolutely, there could be other details. But certainly on the face of it, it seems like there is no room for a different opinion.
well, he had contradicted his own medical director about the severity of the pandemic in an interview that he did with CBS News. That may have contributed to it as well, but my father always says what is right is not always what's popular, and what's popular is not always what's right.
Yep, absolutely. And what's more important, when you hire someone as a CEO to develop and build your organization to great heights of success,
Right.
or to toe the line?
Exactly.
I mean, obviously.
Now, in addition to Kelby Krabbenhoft, there is also a local man who is a chiropractor in town named Steve Nagel, and I have no issues with what he has to say. He did a video recently, and let's take a look at it and see what he has to say in his video here, too.
I guess the reason I wanted to get out here and kind of get into this a little bit is because you guys, we talk a lot about living in stress physiology and living in fear and living in a state of fight or flight. You guys, the body cannot sustain when we live in a state of fight or fight indefinitely. It wears down your internal stores, whether it's depleting your hormones, whether it's causing decreased resilience to illness. You guys, there's research that shows increased stress doubles your risk of upper respiratory infections, right? It also increased risk of death from respiratory infections. And here we are in a society today where we're absolutely stressing everybody out from top to bottom because of lockdowns, because don't go see your loved ones, right? Because you may kill them, right? You guys, we've had an 8-year-old commit suicide because he thought that he was responsible for killing his grandma, right? Because she had died of COVID. And they said, because if you didn't wear a mask around her, you gave her COVID, right? You guys, this is gone way too far.
It is. It's absolutely gone way too far. That is just the most tragic and sad thing. And thanks to Steve for letting us play that too on our show today.
Yeah, and so I understand, yeah, he's having troubles where people are trying to make issue and take a look, or want people to take a look at his license and whether he should be practicing and so forth.
Well, you can relate to that, I am assuming, because
can.
I understand you've had the same problem.
I have indeed. So I have been an outspoken critic of mandates, an outspoken critic of people who just screech about how you must do this or that without having a foundation of science to back it up, but simply grabbing headlines and then demanding that you follow those headlines. And so I've had multiple complaints to the North Dakota Board of Medical Examiners, which is supposed to be a serious deal.
Right.
If you go to a doctor and you're treated inappropriately.
Well, a malpractice. Right? That would make perfect sense.
You send your complaint to the board and they take a look at it and they determine if there's validity to it, if correction needs to be made, and if the license needs to be revoked.
Right.
But what I have now is people, both out of state and in state, making complaints, have never seen me as a patient, don't know anything about me, but they do not like my Facebook posts.
They don't like your words.
No, so I recently received a letter from the North Dakota Board of Medicine, and yeah, here they say that they reviewed the results of the most recent 2 complaints, and after due consideration, that it should not be pursued further. And, you know, I appreciate that. I think that's pretty self-explanatory, but they have to go through the motions. Interestingly, those 2 that are in that complaint are both 2 ladies from Fargo who are anti-Trumpers, leftists. One is a lawyer, the other is a nurse, an advanced degree nurse, and she also ran for a legislative seat just last month in Fargo.
Interesting.
So
there may be a little backstory
what
to
you
that.
have is it's much less about worrying about people's safety and much more about being angry about someone's political ideology.
I don't really understand the whole cancel culture thing because, as far as I'm concerned, there are no thought police. I mean, I guess I would put it in terms of the grocery police. You know, the grocery police, when you go to the grocery store and you've got more than 10 items and you're worried that the grocery police, there is no grocery police, just so you know, and there also is no thought police. So cancel culture, to me, makes no sense. And it seems like it's more pervasive from left toward the right rather than the opposite direction. I could be wrong, but... Well,
it certainly seems that way to me. I'm open to being corrected. But I mean, over these years, more and more, there is no ability to have dissent, polite dissent even.
Right.
Because if you disagree with someone, and it seems to be, I have the personal experience, so do you. If we're disagreeing politically, we're disagreeing with someone on the left. And so we hear over and over and over about being shut down. And never have I or anyone I know tried to stop discussion,
right.
Silence opinion. That's not in our nature. It's
right.
not part of a free society.
Well, there is something to be said for having a back and forth. And I think that you're right, that art is probably lost at this point. So.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Well, I am sure that we're going to be hitting this topic again. And in fact,
right.
Our next topic is fairly related, but still worth its own segment, which we will be hitting next on Beck. We'll see you right back.
Howdy, folks. It's the County Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our hay-bossing breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at a salad bar. Sink your teeth into our famous County Line burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon-rattling pie with a calm roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the County Line.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
Beck Communications is honored to be recently recognized with 3 Broadband Now awards. Beck Communications Cooperative was awarded in the categories of Top Internet Speeds Nationwide, Top 3 Fastest Internet Providers in North Dakota, and North Dakota's #1 Fastest Fiber Provider. It's only through the support of our members and customers that Beck Fiber delivers award-winning speeds and service. Thank you, Beck Communications Cooperative members and customers, for your years of continued support.
Introducing Accord Comfort Sleep Systems, a better way to sleep. We offer you 5 different models to give you the perfect choice of support and body comfort. Every model begins with our exclusive Accord Comfort Reflex Layer. This ensures proper spinal alignment and a deep down body relief. Our 8-inch Whisper Breeze provides a medium firm feel, and our 10-inch Gentle Night model has a quilted top, giving you a medium plush comfort. Both use Outlast fabric on the top of your mattress, ensuring that your body temperature is not too hot and not too cold. Our Copper Rest Sleep Series is our premier mattress, offering your choice of firm, plush, and luxury plush. Every model uses copper-infused gel latex and provides all the health benefits of copper. Accord Comfort mattresses are handcrafted in the USA and come with a 60-night sleep guarantee. You're going to love sleeping with us. Order today exclusively at accordsleep.com or Tom's Home Furnishings in beautiful downtown Harvey.
Is your business phone system outdated and expensive to maintain? Most large VoIP companies leave you on hold or struggling through online support and training for your employees. With Beck Connect, you always have fast, friendly, local support. Familiar faces with the know-how to keep you connected. Take advantage of the newest technology in voice calling, video conferencing, and virtual meeting rooms. Beck Connect gives you all the features you need with no upfront investment and no obsolete hardware or software ever again. Simplify your communications. Choose local. Choose Beck Connect.
Welcome back to No Apologies on Beck. Well, we have been talking about COVID cancel culture. Now I want to bring up something that I would label as COVID cult, the anti-science COVID cult. And when thinking about this topic, it occurred to me that there are some similarities when people yell out anti-science for you having a differing opinion. It's very much like the circumstances we see when people yell out racism or fascism. And what I've found is it seems as though people are projecting what they hold within themselves. They're projecting it onto other people. So people that insist on seeing everything through the lens of skin color, if you don't see it their way, if you want to find policy based on a person's character, based on a person's abilities, rather than their skin color, they call you racist. When in fact, by definition, they are using racism as the metric. And it's the same for fascism. When we look at Antifa groups, their goal allegedly is to stop fascism. What they employ to stop fascism, which is not fascism, what they employ is tactics of violence and intimidation to stop speech that they disagree with. Now, speech that you disagree with is not fascism. But using tactics like intimidation and fear and violence is a tactic of fascism. So they themselves, who are exhibiting the traits of fascism, project onto others and call other people fascists. It's the same thing with this anti-science label. The people that are screeching anti-science, if you don't buy wholesale into the narrative of the significant benefit of masks, the significant benefit of the mandates, of closing bars early, of making kids not go to school, of locking the elderly into their rooms and not seeing loved ones for months at a time. If you don't buy into that wholesale, you're called anti-science. And why? Because there are studies out, there are reports out that have titles and conclusions that by themselves indicate, hey, this works. That's all it takes for the people who are yelling anti-science to buy into it and demand that you buy into it. The problem is they're not using science. What they are taking is something that's fed to them, and then they regurgitate it and expect you to eat it up just like they did. Now, science is not hearing a statistic and believing in it wholesale. Science, by definition,
what is science?
Science is the aspect of observing the world around you and determining by observation and experimentation what the truth is. Okay? There is something called the scientific method. And what you have is a hypothesis, and you test it. And then you see if you can reproduce it, and you see if you can falsify it or determine that it's not false. If those hold true, then your hypothesis is true, becomes a theory. So a weird example would be your hypothesis is gravity exists. If an apple breaks away from a tree, it's going to fall to the ground. That's easily reproducible. Every time you break an apple away from the tree, it's going to fall to the ground. It's also falsifiable. If it flew into the air, that would show that your theory's not true. So we can apply that same science to, say, mask mandates. If a mask mandate works, that's the hypothesis. When you employ a mask mandate, the numbers should drop. If they don't drop, then that would show that it's falsifiable. Now, we have an abundance of data to show that it does not hold true. It's not reproducible. And so it allows at least the question, at least the discussion of whether this is true science. And I have one study that I want to discuss, and we're going to discuss a few over our shows here, because I'm going to help everyone learn along with me what the true science is. So you don't just get screamed you're anti-science. This study, and by the way, this study was brought up by Dr. Joan Connell. She's the field officer at the health department. And she said, well, she excitedly, she was so jacked about this study. She said things are finally coming together at this beautiful moment for Burleigh and Morton counties because we finally have good data to answer the question, do mandates work? The problem is, she didn't look into the study, or perhaps she did, but she wanted to believe something that fit her narrative. If you look into the study, we've got the graphic up here. You look, it shows that allegedly using masks, mandated masks, decreased the incidence of COVID by 2%. But when you dig into it, if you put any effort at all and you dig into it, you find that half of that improvement came before it was even possible because of the incubation period. And that's it further exaggerated because they took the time from when the governors announced it, not when it was actually enacted. So more than 50%, nearly all of the improvement occurred before it actually would have been occurring from the mandate itself. I mean, it is phenomenal. There's a second problem with that study. The study ended 1 week after the final mask mandate.
Oh, wow.
And you're right. And and I looked state by state by state, if they would have continued the study out for a few more months, at least several weeks, they would have found that there was no improvement with mask mandates. And that is something that we can have a good, hearty discussion about, an argument, look at the statistics, and I brought it up with Dr. Joshua Wynn. Very highly respected guy. I think he has a lot of integrity. And he was not able to say anything to the contrary of what I've been saying. There are problems with this study, and yet people jump onto it.
Well, that's probably the trend, is probably find something that fits your narrative and then fit it into it.
That's right. And it's called confirmation bias. You really so badly want to. You know, Dr. Joan Connell, I'm not saying she's a bad person. She wants to find something that's going to help. And in her worldview, it's natural for government to find that something. The problem is government can't get control of this virus, which is all around the world. I mean, that's proven if you look at the curves. But she just wants it so badly that when anything comes out that suggests it's going to be helpful, then that's what's taken as fact, when it really needs to be looked at and get into the meat of it. Because what we need to care about is the truth. not just something that fits our narrative.
Well, that's what this whole program is going to be about and is about already.
It is, yes.
It's about the truth.
We are about the truth here, absolutely. We are going to be having, over the next several shows, weeks, we're going to be discussing several more studies. I'm hoping that it's not going to be boring for you, Lori, or for you, the audience.
This was very instructive for me. I learned about confirmation bias today. So.
Right, but it's really easy. I mean, this is out there for everyone to see. We don't have to appeal to authority for whoever is the medical director of this or that, or a nurse of this health department or whatever. We can look for ourselves. We can say, well, this doesn't even make sense.
Right.
So we have that opportunity. We need to take it.
Right, right. And we need to check the facts. Just check the facts.
Right, because what we care about is the truth.
And we don't believe in no science. We believe in science, but correct science.
We don't believe in no science.
All right.
Yes, all right. Well, thank you very much. We will be right back with a lot more interesting stuff.
No, we're not anti.
I just went in for a regular mammogram and I found out that I had a little tumor.
Through the exam and the biopsy, it was determined that I had cancer.
I got a call from one of my doctors that I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
After 5 years, they found a local reoccurrence.
The first thing you hear when you're told you have a cancer, it's a little daunting because you don't know where to go with it.
Since 1999, in a partnership between CHI St. Alexius Health and Sanford Health Bismarck, the Bismarck Cancer Center has provided the most advanced radiation therapies and holistic support services for cancer patients and their loved ones for 20 years.
I've been at the Bismarck Cancer Center since it started. I actually was in the basement of Med Center 1 before, when we had old machines and old equipment. And thankfully, the two hospitals at the time, St. Alexius and Med Center 1, joined forces to create the Bismarck Cancer Center.
I walk in the door, I get nothing but hugs, and I was marveled at them. I mean, I thought it was the best place in the world.
The staff is unbelievably compassionate, and they explain everything to you.
Everybody's genuinely concerned about your well-being, and the level of care is just top-notch. The Cancer Center just does such an amazing job of helping people.
To me and my family, the Cancer Center means life. It's given me the ability to live out my life with my family, my wife, my children, my grandchildren.
Because of them, I'm 2 years out. Get to move on with my life, make a difference now for other people.
I would recommend this center because the minute you walk through that door, they've got your back.
This center means so much to me and to the people that are in this building, and we just want to keep giving it back to the community and providing for them what they need.
I'm Katie. I've been cancer-free for 2 years.
I'm Steve, and I've been cancer-free for 4 years.
I've been cancer-free for 10 years.
10 years.
11 years.
15 years.
My name is Lainey, and I've been cancer-free for 18 years.
Bismarck Cancer Center, your partner against cancer for 20 years.
Who do you trust with your digital life? Not all cloud backup providers keep your data truly private. Beck Cloud Backup uses advanced multi-layer encryption to keep your family photos, videos, and sensitive business documents secure and only for your eyes. Your Beck Lightband Internet service already includes 50 gigs of free storage to keep your digital life safe and secure. Call us at 701-475-2361 to start using your Beck Cloud Backup today.
Welcome back to No Apologies on Beck, your after-hours oasis of sanity.
Wow.
Yes, I'm your host, Rick Becker, our co-host, Lori Hintz.
That was very nice. Good job on that one.
That last quote was awesome. Thomas Sowell. Love
I love
him.
Thomas Sowell,
yes.
too. He's a great man. So we've been talking a little bit about cancel culture on a large scale and a little more regional thing with the Kelly Krabanoff thing. And now we're going to go a little closer to home with this next topic.
We are. Let's set the table.
Okay.
All right. So we know that there's a little bit of friction between Governor Burgum and the legislature. And it's started, I guess, few years ago, but it escalated somewhat because in the primary election in June, when Democrats choose which Democrats they want to go forward, Republicans choose which Republicans they want to go forward, Governor Burgum decided to interject himself into that race, into that election, and being a very successful entrepreneur that he is, he put in, at least since this 2020, about $3.2 million of his own money.
Into a PAC.
Into a PAC, which is staffed by his former staffers
Now,
between his
for those of
campaign
you
and
who
his
do not
office.
know, a PAC is a political action committee, but this one's a
Right.
little different in that it's got a different title, I think.
Yeah, it's a technicality, nothing to worry about. But anyway, so he had about $1.8 million just for the primary. What he did then was use that money to try and get rid of conservatives in the legislature that he didn't agree with, that would fight him, that would stand up to him, and put in hand-picked people. One of the races that he did that in was District 8, which is just north of Bismarck. It's in the Washburn-Underwood area. And so he had two guys come up. He put the money behind them. The people in District 8 got mailer after mailer after mailer. I don't know. It works, I guess.
It works.
It works because Representative Delzer, Jeff Delzer, who is the person that Burgum was trying to get rid of, did not win the primary. Instead, two new gentlemen won the primary. We're going to go on to the general election. Ballot comes out. Both are on the ballot. One of them, unfortunately, passes away. And I just want to say this once. You shouldn't have to say it over and over, but it is true. Never in a million years for political purposes would we wish ill or certainly death on anyone.
Ridiculous.
But things are what they are, and one of the two gentlemen handpicked by Doug passed away. That led into a big brouhaha over what was going to happen because that had not happened in North Dakota before. Someone dies before the election, but after the ballots are printed, what do you do? The Republican Party said, go ahead and vote for him.
They did, and which they did, and he ended up winning. The unfortunate deceased gentleman ended up winning, and purposefully, because the people knew that he had passed away and still voted for him regardless.
Yep, they did. So the problem is then Governor Burgum decided to file a lawsuit, and I think we've got a graphic on that, but he put up a lawsuit where he actually was suing District 8, the poor gentleman who's the chairman of the District 8 Republican Party.
Lauren DeWitz.
Yes, a very nice guy. Chet Pollard, the majority leader, Secretary of State Al Jaeger, pretty much suing anybody he could. And in his lawsuit, and see, what bugs me, Lori, is he is spending all this time, and we have to look into it. I think the people's money. I think he was afforded 3 lawyers. All of this time for a frivolous lawsuit because he didn't get what he wanted. He wants to have a legislature he can control. Absolutely improper mixing of the two branches of government, executive and legislative, should never happen, and that's what bugs me so bad. So now we have this lawsuit, and if you
should also note too that he announced his choice for the seat as well, almost immediately after that.
He handpicked another person that falls right in line with how he views things. He is, in his mind, the CEO of North Dakota. The legislature is basically a mid-level management that needs to be tamed, controlled, and told what to do. And so he handpicks who he wants. And unfortunately, it turns out that not all the time, but some of the time, a decent amount of the time, having enough money, sending out enough flyers
If you win an election, you get to choose those things, do you not? But there are separations between...
That's exactly right.
Yes.
So in his lawsuit, there are 3 things that there are a few things, but there's 3 things of interest that he was looking for. The first is labeled number 3 here, but he was basically wanting the Supreme Court of North Dakota to say that there was no way that North Dakota law had in its statutes to fill a vacancy of this nature. And that's on number 3, which is highlighted, if we can bring that graphic up. And following that, we've got number 4. The second significant thing he wanted was injunctive relief, meaning that he wanted the Secretary of State to not issue a certificate of election to the person who passed away, and wanted to keep the Secretary of State at bay because that's what would normally take place. So he wanted to stop all of the normal procedures. And the last thing he was looking for is a writ of mandamus. I had to look that up.
That's a really great
mandamus,
term.
right.
Mandamus.
So, mandamus, and so it kind of like mandate.
Right.
So the last thing he wanted the North Dakota Supreme Court to tell the Secretary of State that he must put in Governor Burgum's hand-picked person into the legislature.
That's not how it works.
No, nor should it. And fortunately, the Supreme Court agrees with you.
Well, I actually watched the Supreme Court hearing, and I listened very carefully to what they were saying, and I heard an awful lot of questions by the Supreme Court of North Dakota for the lawyer of Burgum, basically questioning where they were coming from, because it was pretty clear they had an awful lot of issues and questions with it.
Well, and that's what I'm getting at, where I'm irritated, because this isn't a question that's marginal and depends how you look at it. This is something that anyone who would read the Century Code, North Dakota state law, would say, well, it's a done deal. We know this.
Pretty clear cut.
And so, unfortunately, Burgum's lawyer that presented to the state Supreme Court did a good job with what he had. The problem is he had nothing because Burgum's lawsuit was frivolous. The Supreme Court, in their opinion, stated, "We declare a vacancy in office will exist on December 1st, and the governor does not have statutory or constitutional authority to make an appointment to fill the vacancy in this case. He has not established a clear legal right to performance of the acts he seeks. Therefore, a writ of mandamus is not warranted. We deny the requested relief."
That's not the end of the story, though, because there's more to come. right after that, then you find out that it goes back to the district, which is what it should have done.
Yes.
The decision goes back to District 8, and the people in District 8, their executive committee, get back together.
Mm-hmm.
They got together and they voted.
They brought Jeff Delzer back in.
They did.
They did. So Jeff Delzer, a great guy, great legislator, very powerful person as the chair of the Appropriations Committee. Appropriations Committee is who determines where the money goes. That's the person that Doug absolutely wanted out, much to the chagrin of our executive leader, the governor. The district executive board put Representative Delzer back in place. Today we concluded 3-day organizational session in the legislature. He's back in there. I'm happy to see him. I'm certain that Doug Burgum was not too happy to see him. All I can say is sweet justice. Praise sweet, sweet justice, because I like it when someone oversteps so much as our governor did, gets slapped down, rightfully so, by the Supreme Court.
There is something to be said for having not complete unity between the executive branch and the legislative branch. I mean, am I wrong? I mean, you do want a little back and forth. You want some checks and balances, some conflict.
Yes, yes. I think former Governor Ed Schaefer said it. A little bit of friction. A little bit of friction between the executive and the legislative branch is a good thing. When you're two of like mind, when you're too simpatico, things tend to go off the rails because no one is checking, no one's providing the balance. And that's when we, I shouldn't say that's when we overspend. Apparently we always overspend, but that's a new topic.
But that's when it gets worse, because there's the skids are greased.
Yes. So frankly, I'm pleased there's some friction. I'm pleased that Governor Burgum is put back in his place in the executive office that he holds and not in the legislative office, which he does not hold. And I'm pleased that Jeff is back, because hopefully he's going to keep things in line and be maintained. And so
we'll be talking down the line about the budget proposed as well, I'm certain, in future shows. So look forward to that.
We absolutely will. So next up, we've got a fun topic. Call it, what do we have? Brain food tonight.
Brain food tonight.
I love brain food. It's trivia, nutrition for your mind. We'll be right back.
Bismarck Central, 4800.
4800, go ahead.
Requesting social services on-call team.
Stand by. 4800 social services requesting additional information.
You can advise social services that we have an 18-month-old female who was in a residence with a mother, now being transported to medical care for overdose.
Trusting your digital life to faceless tech giants can be risky. Will they keep your family and business information truly safe from prying eyes? If you subscribe to local Beck Lightband Internet service, you already have Beck Cloud Backup. Beck Cloud Backup is the safest, most private cloud storage for all your family memories, schoolwork, and business documents. Call 701-475-2361 to start using your free space on Beck Cloud Backup today.
You just might find the home of your dreams this weekend by watching the Alliance Real Estate Tour of Homes Sundays at 6 p.m. and Wednesdays at 7 on Beck, featuring properties from Bismarck, Mandan, Minot, and surrounding areas. The Alliance Real Estate Tour of Homes presents desirable properties that are for sale, lets you meet your Alliance realtors, and provides critical insights into local happenings from community and business leaders. Join us this Sunday evening at 6 or Wednesday at 7 for the Alliance Real Estate Tour of Homes on Beck.
Today's households have more digital devices than ever before. More links to family, business, education, and entertainment. Beck Communications spent over 10 years building North Dakota's fastest fiber optic internet service. Beck Lightband Internet, outpacing speeds in large cities nationwide. Lightband Internet handles all your digital needs without throttling your connection to the world. Beck Communications, valuable digital connections in rural North Dakota.
Howdy folks, it's the County Line Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hey Bossin' breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at our salad bar, sink your teeth into our famous County Line burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spur rattling pie with a combo roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the County Line.
Welcome back to No Apologies on Beck. This segment we call Brain Food.
Well, you and I both like things like, we like words and we like science and we like things like that, so we're both nerdy. And so brain food is always good. I am going to start tonight, if that's okay.
Please do.
There was a study conducted, and I think it was conducted in a hilarious manner, actually, when you think about it, because it was a study only of 18 men. And it was researchers at the University of Birmingham found that drinking cocoa improved participants' ability to quickly solve a series of complex mental tests. Hot cocoa, folks, but the fact that they chose only men and only 18 of them total, I'm not certain that is a really good control group. I don't know. I know more women who tend to drink hot cocoa than men.
Was there something in the cocoa?
I don't know. Well, there is flavanols and flavonoids. Flavonols, of course, are those naturally occurring compounds found in plants, you know, like cacao or cocoa. Among flavonoids, there is a distinct subgroup then called flavanols, and that is what they are saying is the helpful thing. So the flavanols are predominant in foods and beverages like tea and apples and red wine. And you know that you've heard about the flavanols in red wine all the time, but also cocoa. And no, this is not cocoa, this is water.
So flavonoids. I may have asked you this at one point. Did you ever watch Flava Flav on MTV? You know, the skinny little guy with the big clock?
Are you really literally trying to make water come out my nose? No, I can't say that, not on purpose anyway.
I think it's really cool that they named a chemical compound after him.
Oh, I'm pretty sure that that's not true. But
okay. All right. So
your brain food. So you have.
Yes. So I'm gonna go back to this idea of anti-science. So I've got a couple of things here, and they're going to make you sad, hopefully.
Oh.
Yes. So Ignaz Semmelweis was in the mid-19th century. He was working at a hospital, and there were a lot of ladies that were dying from puerperal fever. So they get an infection during childbirth.
Okay.
He was noticing that the doctors that were delivering the babies were coming from the autopsy lab.
The morgue, right?
Well,
to
yeah,
the, okay.
Essentially, right to no gloves. They weren't using gloves in those days. So what he said is, hey, how about if you guys wash your hands before you deliver babies? And what happened is, in less than 6 months, the rates, the mortality rates of fever dropped from 90%. I'm sorry, from 18.3% to 2%.
They weren't washing their hands.
Of women that were dying in childbirth, simply from washing hands after you're at the morgue.
Wow.
Yeah. So he was like, holy, this is fantastic. Everyone needs to be doing this. But the medical establishment wouldn't believe him. They called him anti-science.
Oh, come on.
No, it's true. And so he was freaking out because so many women continued to be dying because they weren't following his basic advice. He started writing a bunch of letters. He started becoming very engaged, you might say.
Mm-hmm.
He was committed against his will to an insane asylum.
Oh, no.
Yes. 2 weeks after he was admitted to the insane asylum, he was beaten to death. So that is the...
You are not kidding
That's
about
the life
Seth.
of the gentleman that had the potential to save millions of ladies' lives during childbirth, all because the medical establishment screamed at him, "You are anti-science, Ignace."
Well, that is the ultimate cancel culture. You literally canceled him. That is horrible.
It absolutely is.
That's nothing to do with Coco at all. I'm feeling a little weird now.
Okay, let's bring us back up.
Okay,
Lori.
I have a word that people may not know about. Now, you and I have talked about cancel culture, and it has a lot to do with an attitude of the people. There's vitriol, and there's what I call malevolence. And people are like, oh, here she's using the big word again. But I love the word because it is the quality or state of being malevolent. And it suggests a bitter, persistent hatred that is likely to be expressed in malicious content, in which we see all the time. That conduct that's always malicious is malevolence. So do you want to see a little malevolence? I mean, I've got lots of possibilities for malevolence. How about the person in the store who's just screeching and screaming at someone because of no mask? That is malevolence.
Get out!
Yikes.
There is
Holy.
nothing wrong with your television. Those were all like silenced because they were nasty words. So yeah, that's malevolence, folks. If you think in your mind, okay, malevolence. Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Mal means bad.
Correct.
Don't be malevolent.
Bene means.
Bene means, or no, bene means good. Benevolence. Absolutely.
So you learn something every day on.
Yeah.
No apologies with Becker. So,
All right.
brain food. All
Next
right.
one.
Another one?
Same vein. Let's bring you down a little bit.
Sad one?
Yes, we're going
Oh,
to bring you down.
Okay.
The truth hurts,
Okay.
Lori. The truth hurts.
That's
now,
all true.
Another physician. So this goes along with our theme of the anti-science people. So forensic pathologist Bennett Omalu. He was studying brains. He happened to be studying the brain of a former NFLer and saw some things that were particularly concerning. And he made a diagnosis, the first time ever, of a chronic traumatic encephalopathy. It was published in the journal Neurosurgery.
Brain injury?
Yep.
Okay.
Traumatic encephalopathy.
Okay.
What happened is the NFL organized a bunch of physicians to come out and give their authoritative opinion that he was wrong. The saddest thing ever, he says, I was naive. It dragged me into worldly affairs I do not want to be associated with. Human meanness, wickedness, selfishness, people trying to cover up, to control how information is released.
Oh, was that ever precious?
Yes, this COVID thing is nothing new, folks. This has been going on. It continues to go on. This is why each and every one of us needs to continue to seek the truth, to stick it out through good times, through bad times, just like Dr. Omalu and poor Dr. Ignace Semmelweis.
That's awful.
Very, yeah.
We're going to lighten things
no
up.
Laughing.
I'm not going to laugh. That's horrible. We're going to lighten things up, though, in our next segment. Do not fear.
Yeah, I'm a little scared of the next segment, ladies and gentlemen. So join us. We will be right back for Lori's segment.
He once won a spelling bee in an ancient language that he did not speak. He is the only man to ever earn extra credit on an IQ exam. His academic degrees are considered legitimate spending currency in 22 nations, 2 principalities, and at Chick-fil-A restaurants in the United States and Western Canada.
I do not always engage with education programming, but when I do, it is the Dr. Duke Show.
Stay educated with the Dr. Duke Show, weekdays at 4 p.m. on Beck News.
Introducing Accord Comfort Sleep Systems, a better way to sleep. We offer you 5 different models to give you the perfect choice of support and body comfort. Every model begins with our exclusive Accord Comfort Reflex Layer. This ensures proper spinal alignment and a deep down body relief. Our 8-inch Whisper Breeze provides a medium firm feel, and our 10-inch Gentle Night model has a quilted top, giving you a medium plush comfort. Both use Outlast fabric on the top of your mattress, ensuring that your body temperature is not too hot and not too cold. Our Copper Rest Sleep Series is our premier mattress, offering your choice of firm, plush, and luxury plush. Every model uses copper-infused gel latex and provides all the health benefits of copper. Accord Comfort mattresses are handcrafted in the USA and come with a 60-night sleep guarantee. You're going to love sleeping with us. Order today exclusively at AccordSleep.com or Tom's Home Furnishings in beautiful downtown Harvey.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink for trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
My name is Rich Shook, and I lost my best friend in a grain bin accident.
Some of the emotional scars that when these incidences happen just resonates throughout the community like dropping a rock in a pond. I guess I'll never forget. At least the last moments we shared. That's why I think this is so important to get out there to people, is people think that it can't happen to you, and it can. The time it would take you to just kiss a loved one and your life is over. I believe it's unacceptable.
This message provided by North Dakota Farmers Union.
Welcome back to No Apologies on Beck. Lori has got an interesting segment for us. I am intrigued.
Well, I got to take a trip just this week, earlier on this week, and it was a very quick one, and my husband got to accompany me on this one too. As you may or may not know, I have a position as the National Committee Woman for the state of North Dakota, and this show is my opinion, so it's a little different than that, but I thought it would be fun for you to see some of the things that we did. This picture that you see in front of you is at the Willard Intercontinental Hotel, which is really, really close to the White House, about 50 feet away from the entrance to where we needed to go, and that's a picture of my husband Jeff and me in the hotel before we even got to the White House stuff, and I thought that was pretty opulent and amazing. The hotel itself is just phenomenal. It is gorgeous. As you can see, it's very stately, and that's looking from where we were standing in line to get in the queue to go to the White House for a Christmas reception. That hotel is 200 years old. It has a nice little courtyard. It has a couple of restaurants in it, but the architecture is just absolutely phenomenal. It was a real thrill to stay there. So as we got done being in the queue, we went through a couple of checkpoints, and then we started walking up the driveway toward the White House. And it was a surreal moment for both my husband and me. Neither of us had been to the White House before, so this was our first time ever being in the White House. I had been on the South Lawn once before in August for the president's nomination acceptance speech, but this was the first time ever that we were in the building. So let's roll, and you can see what it's like when you're walking up to the White House. That was just crazy. Walking up to the White House. There's my husband up ahead of me. Yeah, that was that was really cool. It was pretty neat. Now we're going to show you some other pictures that, of things that happened while we were at the White House. We were, first of all, we were walking in, and so we got our picture taken right outside the door. So that's just in that same area that we had just walked up to, and we got our picture taken right in front of the doors, and we made our way down the corridor there, and it was a real interesting thing.
Wait, hold on.
Okay, oh, I don't know what that is. Oh, that's a very close-up of one of the ornaments that you're going to see later on the
Wait,
yellow.
that's, no, I have to correct you.
What is that?
That's Mao Zedong. Oh. And that ornament is from Obama's tree in 2009.
Okay, so
I'm
you
sorry, that was a little mix-up. What? How'd that get there?
Wait, what did... Okay, that's hilarious. Okay, he got me really good on that one. I'm so busted. All right, I'm like, no, that must be an ornament from the... No, this is the yellow tree. It is the most beautiful, stunning tree. It is in the blue room. He's still giggling over there. And this tree, I guess it's not my favorite color, but it was just amazing. You go a little further and you get to, this is the green room. Now, the green room, I thought the gorgeous yellow decorated tree in the blue room was gorgeous, but this parlor has been known as the green room since 1818 when James Monroe chose the color of his decorations. And that is so historic in all of the artwork and all of the things like the fireside chat fireplace and things that we got to see were just so overwhelming to both my husband and I. We just were very awed. We were awestruck, in a word. So we went from there on to the East Room, which was a very large room. And in this room, there were socially distanced food stations. We saw this amazing nativity pictured here. And it's kind of in like a shadow box type of thing where it is inset into the wall, but it's 3D. And the intricate and detailed work on this nativity were just fantastic. It was great. Next, what we did was we waited behind an area of the entrance hall that was cordoned off, and while we were sitting, you can see the cordon up by where the red carpet is up there. Well, near that red carpet is where the president was going to come down the stairs and give us a little address. And so we were cordoned off here. They opened those cordons and we moved up, and you can see how close we were. I took, my husband and I took these pictures, and he was about 15 feet in front of us, and that was quite exciting too. He did about a 3 or 4 minute speech, and then he returned going back up those stairs. And then that was just, it was so exciting. And he didn't have a lot of controversial stuff to say, but it was still a real thrill. And then finally, this is on our walk out of the White House complex after the event.
After you got kicked out,
was it? No, we didn't get kicked out, no, but we spent probably a good 3 hours there at this Christmas reception. Jeff was standing on a bench. He got this picture of me standing in front of the White House, and we continued on to another Iron Gate. And once outside, my husband turned to me and he said, and this was my favorite thing of the evening, he turned to me and he said, you know what? This is the coolest place you've ever taken me, Lori. Yeah, it was. It was incredibly cool. It was a wonderful, it was a memorable evening. We had a great time, and we hung out with a group of North Dakotans. There were about 6 of us from North Dakota there, including Doug Goring, who is the agriculture
he's a good guy.
commissioner. He is. He's a very good guy, and we had a nice conversation with him too. But a lot of social distancing. And for those of you wondering, yes, we were wearing masks, and we took them off after we got out of the building. But we were wearing our masks when we did the, particularly the eating stuff. We had to go up to get our food, and they were individually placed on plates, and then we got our food, and then what we did is we took our masks off to eat. So.
Well, that's pretty cool.
It was pretty.
I gotta say.
Pretty exciting. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
So.
Well, good for you. Yeah. Good for you. Maybe one day I'll get a visit. Probably not in the next 4 years if things pan out the way we expect.
We shall see.
So. I think that's going to do it for us. Tomorrow night on No Apologies, we are going to be discussing a little bit more about the anti-science COVID cult thing. We're going to be talking about the ins and outs of the various methods of testing for COVID.
Excellent.
Also discussing Trump's legal battles.
Yes, and we've got a lot on that.
Absolutely. Next on Beck, hit it up with No Filter with Debbie. We'll see you back next night.